Welcome back. In a special report you'll only see right here on NBC5, we're taking an in-depth look tonight into Lyme disease, a debilitating disease often carried by ticks.
The Centers for Disease Control says they receive nearly 30,000 reported cases of Lyme every year in the United States. But some people, including those at the CDC, say not all the numbers are being counted.
NBC5's Kyle Averman joins us in studio with one Rogue Valley boy's struggle with the disease. Kyle?
In December, we introduced you to Torrin Acker, an Ashland teenager battling symptoms of a tick-borne illness. And in the last month, Acker's been diagnosed with Lyme disease. While some can manage their disease with little trouble, that is not the case for him.
Like a lot of teenagers, 16-year-old Torrin Acker has a love for sports and animals. But the Ashland teen is no longer as active as he once was.
It was so hard not knowing what was wrong with me.
Since Torrin lost his ability to speak in early December, his mom Casey helps him communicate.
It's a pretty ugly, scary disease that can steal a lot of your life.
Casey believes Torrin was bit by a tick more than 5 years ago while at a gathering in Eugene. Since then, he suffered from fatigue, dizziness, even seizures. But it wasn't until recently that he was diagnosed with Lyme disease.
It got to be pretty exhausting to try to figure it out.
Lyme disease is carried by ticks. After a bite, the bacteria enters the bloodstream, attacking the skin, joints, and nervous system.
They call it the great imitator because it truly creates a massive number of symptoms, and they present differently in all different people.
Naturopathic Dr. Corey Tischauer is one of only 3 Lyme literate doctors in Oregon. He says the most common symptoms for Lyme disease include a bullseye rash following the initial bite and the flu. But because the bacteria carried by Lyme disease can hide in a person's immune system, it can be undetectable and symptoms vary.
It's a bit of a medical detective process with many of the patients we see, basically looking at their clinical presentation and saying, what is it that is going on in you? Is it just Lyme, or are there other infections?
As a result, the CDC has strict guidelines for a Lyme diagnosis. Each year, there are roughly 30,000 cases of Lyme reported to the CDC nationwide. But in a shocking 2013 report, the CDC said they believe the number of Americans diagnosed with Lyme is actually 10 times that number.
It is so underdiagnosed, and unfortunately, in many places in the country, where it's not well recognized, it's just not being tested for or taken as seriously as it should be, despite the validity of the testing.
Lyme disease is more common in the Northeast than the Northwest.
Obviously, ticks don't just stop at the border.
In a recent report, the Oregon Health Authority says there were 42 confirmed diagnoses of Lyme disease in 2013. 43% of those cases found in Jackson and Josephine County, but Tischauer believes that number may be higher.
Oftentimes, these patients are basically just being symptomatically treated, and despite that, they're still going downhill.
Torrin has good and bad days, but his mother says there is no doubt his symptoms are getting worse, and he spends most of his time between treatments sleeping.
When I am at home and watch my kid, it's really hard. It's really, really hard.
And with so few official cases in the Northwest, resources are limited.
I mean, the financial part of this is really hard.
Torrin's insurance only covers a portion of his treatment, but the community has stepped up to support the Ackers. A recent fundraiser at Waterstone Spa in Ashland raised $1,300, and a donation account at Rogue Federal Credit Union has raised thousands more.
I feel like I've got a very big family, and Torrin is very lucky to have as many people behind him.
And even though Torrin's symptoms forced him to leave Ashland High School last fall, the school is planning a fundraiser in March.
We'll just take it one day at a time.
All that support pushing them through this difficult time as they look forward to a brighter future.
Now, to find out how you can help the Ackers, you can visit our website, KOBI5.com. Doctors say that Lyme disease is preventable. We'll explain how tomorrow on NBC5 News at 6. In the studio, Kyle Averman, NBC5 News.